I think I need a smoke after that. Episode 10, Trev's Wrestling Show, here on Trev TV. I'm the Trev. You know that. If you're tuning in, if you're watching, that's just too sweet. Anyway, well, here we are. AEW's debut pay-per-view, Double or Nothing, is in the books. If my opening line didn't tell you everything you need to know, then definitely pay attention to this. And if you didn't watch it and you don't want to be spoiled, don't watch this video. Flat out, plain and simple. I don't know how else I can politely put it to you, but it's one of those things. If you're just going to go on YouTube looking for watch-alongs, or if you're going to go to Bleacher Report looking for spoilers to say, hey, that was a good show, without seeing it, and hope that'll make up your mind, that won't do you any justice. And I'm not just saying that just because it's an AEW show. I mean, granted, yeah, it's a new promotion. Who would have thought a t-shirt company with a primetime deal could put on one hell of a pay-per-view? Well, there are this many pages of notes. Yeah, I took notes. Want to hear them? Let's get into it. First off, we're starting with the buy-in, which again is the fancy schmancy name for pre-show. And here we started off with the 21-man Casino Battle Royal. It wasn't necessarily done in typical Battle Royal fashion. It wasn't two guys start off and then another so many minutes, another guy comes in, yada, yada, yada. It was groups of 5 for the first 4 groups. So you had 5 guys, 5 guys, 5 guys, 5 guys. All come in, I think it was at 2-minute intervals, 2.5-minute intervals. But you had, the first wave was MJF, Sunny Days, Michael Nakazawa, Brandon Cutler, Dylan Thomas come out. And that was a nice little 4.5 way. If you've never seen Dustin Thomas, think Zach Gowen minus both legs. Not just at the knee, like no legs. Now, I'm not saying that as a knock. That was actually a fun thing to see. You know, a guy with no legs in a wrestling ring. It was awesome. Then you had Brian Pillman Jr., Isaiah Cassidy, Jimmy Havoc, Joey Janela, Sean Spears. Perfect 10. Then you have Billy Gunn, Glacier, Jungle Boy, Mark Quinn, and Ace Romero. And I think by this point you actually had your first elimination, which was Michael Nakazawa. I loved how at the beginning they were teasing heat between Michael Nakazawa and Matt Jackson. So I imagine something along the lines with those two is coming along at some point. Then your last batch was Sonny Kiss, Luchasaurus, Tommy Dreamer, Marco Stunt, and Orange Cassidy were your first 20 in the ring. Nice little back and forth before they announced who drew the Joker card. To no one's surprise, and I should have predicted this in my prediction video, was Hangman Page. Joey Janela took, I think, the scariest elimination out of the whole thing. And should we be surprised by this? Probably not. I forget how it happened, but there was a table set outside the ring. And he got flipped over, and it looked like he landed on his shoulder. Hopefully it's not serious, because I mean the guy just came off of a knee injury, like he needs to be hurt anymore. But I mean they drew a nice dynamic between Janela and Page, drawing off from the all-in heat that they had. And I mean, well, that was an amazing show as well. But that was last year. We're talking about Double or Nothing, not All In. There are so many Shawn Michaels top rope spots, you know what I mean, where you think he's going over, but he's holding on, and his feet are just inches above the floor. So many of those spots. Not that I don't hate them. I like the dynamic they bring to the story they're trying to tell, but it's so overdone. But Jimmy Havoc had a nice little remedy to that. Jungle Boy tried doing it. Jimmy Havoc was sitting there gnawing on his finger, just chewing away at him. And I mean, hopefully that changes the whole Shawn Michaels top rope spot. I doubt it, but we'll see. MJF and the Hangman were the last two. Hangman eliminated MJF. Right off the bat, I'm 0 for 1 in my predictions. But it's pre-show. It's okay. Match was 16 minutes long. I'm sorry, I'm going to be predicting and reviewing and reacting a lot more to pay-per-views. I am going to bust out the not Dave Meltzer gimmick. 3.5 out of 5 stars. For a 16-minute battle royal, it was pretty awesome. I mean, there wasn't anything overly spectacular. It wasn't anything that really drew too much imagination other than, Tommy Dreamer bringing in a trash can full of shit and Jimmy Havoc having a staple gun. He managed to put one in Tommy Dreamer's head, put one in Tommy Dreamer's nuts. So the staple gun made its play in there. Overall, probably a good first choice to have for somebody who's going to wrestle for the AEW World Championship. And not a very bad done battle royal at all. Second match. You saw the best ever, Sammy Guevara versus Superbad, Kip Sabian. Now, I didn't have a lot of knowledge on Sabian as much as I had on Guevara, because I expected from the onset, when they announced this match early on, that it was going to be a Guevara match. He was going to win, so I was doing more homework on him than I was on Sabian. But after seeing his moveset, I could see why Guevara goes around calling himself the best ever. The guy's, he starts off slow, but when he picks up the pace, when he gets the momentum, it's amazing watching him wrestle. Very back and forth match. Lots of high spots, lots of power moves, lots of ground tactics, and from Guevara, a big cocky demeanor. And I think right off the bat that tells you he's going to be a heel in their promotion going forward, which is not a bad thing. He'd be a great heel, I think. Sorry, just trying to fix my wardrobe here so that I can at least get some kind of product placement in. But there was a nice suplex arrangement. There's even shooting star presses, which was awesome. But there was a nice suplex arrangement where Guevara had Sabian over the top rope, suplexed him onto the ring apron, followed him out, and then suplexed him onto the floor. And I was like, oh, painful just looking at that. And another shooting star press. And from there, we had the first holy shit chant. And I mean, there was a few holy shit chants, and I love it when they do that. It's like, yes, you're reading my mind. Sabian, though, won by pinfall. That match was just over 10 minutes. I'm giving this one 3.5 out of 5, based on the flight moves, like the whole air packages, the spots that they did in the air and all that stuff, all the flight moves. I'm giving that the 3.5. And for all that, I might only give it a 3. But having said that, we're going to go to the main card. I forgot to mention for the pre-shows, you had Excalibur and Alex Marvez calling play-by-play. For main card, you have Jim Ross. And it was so nice to hear Jim Ross again. I mean, last I heard from Jim Ross was in New Japan. It was Wrestle Kingdom last year. Not this year, because I don't think he was in Wrestle Kingdom this year. And it's nice to hear Ross without Lawler. I don't know why. I've never liked Jerry Lawler as a color commentator, ever. And I don't know if it's just because his over-enthusiastic nature or the incessant need for puppies. I don't know, but I've never really liked Jerry Lawler as a commentator. When it was Ross and Heyman, I loved it. There was the face-heel dynamic, and Heyman could push buttons without trying. It was nice to hear from Jim Ross again. First match on the main card. So SCU versus the Strong Hearts. Now SCU, obviously you think that, being their elite guys, and they don't want to push too many elite guys, they wouldn't get the win. That was my prediction anyway, but let's get into the match. Very fast, very, very, very fast, very back and forth, and very equally matched as far as momentum, offensive, move sets, and shifts were concerned. No one team had the clear advantage, I thought. Lots of good spots in the match, and a lot of near falls. or not a lot of near falls in the early onsets anyways, which is great because, I mean, if you can stretch out the match before you go for the near falls, you're only asking for more action, which is a great thing. Doesn't anybody want good action in a wrestling match? But it flowed very, very nice. First page. SCU picks up the win with the best Meltzer ever. Solid opener. But again, honestly, I thought the Stronghearts were going to come out with the win. I mean, I thought, for sure they were going to put OWE in a fresher light and say, hey, these are our partners. Make them feel at home. Let's give them the dub. Well, goes to SCU in the worst town they've ever been in, or at least their favorite worst town they've ever been in. Match went 13 minutes 40 seconds, and Trev is giving this one a 3. It could have been so much more. It had nothing to do with how back and forth it was, or close call here, close call there. It just could have been more. I mean, it was like I said, it was a solid opener. But I digress. Match 4. You see the women's triple threat match, or three-way. It really wasn't a triple threat because there was nothing to really compete for. But you saw Britt Baker versus Nyla Rose versus Smiley Kylie Ray. Now, before the match even begins, Brandy Rhodes comes out and reassures the women that they all have a great chance of winning. And this will be a great match. But she wants an awesome match. Cue an Awesome Kong. You remember Awesome Kong. If you watch TNA, you remember her. She was only the most dominant figure, not named Gail Kim, in their women's division. So now it's a 4-way, and now my predictions stand a really good chance of being fucked. I'm already 0 for 3, so I'm bracing for 0 for 4 because I thought they were going to push Kong. Very good wrestling from all 4 women. It was believable, and it's not saying women can't be believable, but when they can bust out dominant power moves and a skill set that you would normally see in the men, it's an amazing thing to see. Like I said, they made it believable. Very dominant as far as Kong and Nyla Rose were concerned. Of course, them being the bigger women, it was believable that they would be the more physical of the 4. And it was a good way, when it was time to get those 2 out of the match, to write them out, not so much by injury angle, but have the 2 smaller girls, Baker and Kylie Ray, take out Kong with Nyla Rose on the floor. She decides, okay, I'm going to spear Kong into the stairs, and she did. And I automatically was like, holy shit. I was holy shitting on top of the crowd. So Rose spears Kong into the steps. Oh. I mean, and there was a lot of back and forth between Baker and Kylie Ray. I thought for sure Britt Baker was going to bust out some of the Adam Cole movesets because, she is Adam Cole's woman. But she ended up picking up the win with a very scary looking neck breaker. And my first thought after I saw it was like, is Kylie okay? Because she looked like she kind of took that awkwardly. And I'm sure she didn't. I'm sure she's fine, There are worse things that could have happened. Like, it could have not connected and she could have legit been hurt. But I think she's okay. That match went 11 minutes, 10 seconds. Trev's given it 3.5. And Trev actually got one prediction right. I don't know why I stick with predictions. They're so bad this year. So overall, Trev's 1 for 4. But the match isn't, or the card isn't over. We got more to go here. Up next, we got the best friends, Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta versus Angelico and Jack Evans. I'm correcting myself right now. I've been saying it wrong the whole time. It's Angelico, not Angelico. Angelico. So I'll take that opportunity now. Admit, hey, my bad. I screwed up. Lots of high spots, lots of 2-man spots, and believe it or not, and this is funny, hugs were actually genuinely getting over. The crowd wanted hugs from the best friends. And they were popping for it hard. They were popping hard for the hugs. So that was an awesome thing to see. Very fast-paced. I mean, if you thought SCU and Strong Hearts was fast, these guys were faster. And they just kept going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. There was a funny point in the match where Beretta hits the Falcon Arrow on Jack Evans, gets the 2 count. And before the ref was even counting, Jim Ross was saying, oh, nobody kicks out of the Falcon Arrow. 1, 2. Trent kind of looks and he's like, nobody kicks out of the Falcon Arrow. It's like, oh, that was a cool echo effect. I don't know if that was intentional or if that was just kind of coincidence, but that was awesome. Beretta and Chucky kept on working Evans for a bit, but really can't keep him down. And if you watched it, you could understand why. I mean, Evans has a lot of athleticism to him. And Helico came back in and turns the tide, and we see a lot of really more cool 2-man spots. Awesome. And here was my first moment of cringe, and I will explain why. Came near the end of the match when Angelico hit a running crucifix powerbomb on Trent Beretta, followed by Jack Evans hitting the 630 splash. Now, it wasn't the 630 splash that made me cringe. It's the buckle bomb. And not just any buckle bomb, a running crucifix buckle bomb. If you've seen what Seth Rollins' buckle bombs did to guys like Finn Balor, did to guys like Sting, you can understand the cringe. And I cringed. Huge. I every time I see a buckle bomb, thinking of the buckle bomb, that was my reaction. I don't like buckle bombs. I think they're dangerous. I think they're sloppy. But if you can pull it off nice, hey, go ahead and do it, right? But what I also found was there wasn't a lot of selling in this match, which kind of almost hindered it to a degree. But, you know, they managed to make it work. Best Friends eventually get the pin after a tag team crunchy. That's the name of their finisher. After the match, we see the Best Friends, you know, looking towards Angelico and Jack Evans, like trying to get the hug, and they get the hug, then the lights go out. The Super Smash Brothers jump both teams with a bunch of masked dudes, and the lights go out again. And that's the end of the match. 12 minutes, 35 seconds. Originally, I wanted to give this a 4, but again, because of the lack of selling, I'm only giving it a 3. Just 1 for 5. After that match, you get the first announcement for All Out, or if you want to call it All In 2, which will take place August 31st at the Sears Center in Chicago. Hell of a place for a CM Punk comeback, right? Next match, and this is the one I called the coin flip because I'm going to be honest, I hadn't seen too much of any of the 6 women in this match. Aja Kong, Yuka Sakazaki, and Emi Sakura versus Hikaru Shida, Riho Abe, and Ryo Mizunami. Again, this is another OWE match, you know, bringing in their partners into the card itself. Very interesting match. And like I said, I hadn't seen anything from these 6 women until tonight. They started off fast, lots of frequent tags, lots of offense. You know, for a first time, it was fun to see. And I wasn't disappointed. Not in any stretch of the imagination. Lots of near falls, though. And when none connected, they only got faster in action. So you saw a lot more offense, a lot more defense, a lot more offense, more near falls, a lot more offense. Aja Kong dominated when she was in, as expected. I mean, why wouldn't she, right? Next page. There was a false finish when the bellkeeper got antsy in the pantsy, rung the bell after a 2 count. The ref had to remind him, hey, no, that's only 2. That's not 3, that's 2. After maybe a few moments, Aja Kong inadvertently hit her partner with a spinning back elbow, which ultimately cost the team the match after Hikaru Shida hit Sakura with a running knee, got the pin 1, 2, 3. Match went 13 minutes, 10 seconds. This is probably the lowest rated match in my mind on my not Meltzer gimmick. I'm only giving it a 2.5. If it was a little more, I don't want to say higher paced, and if it was a little more, if there was more action to it as opposed to just near fall, I might have given it more. But not a bad match. Next match on the card, and this is one that I was really looking forward to. Not the main event. That's coming later. Cody Rhodes with Brandy Rhodes versus Dustin Rhodes. Brother versus brother, generation versus generation. First off, I really loved Cody's entrance. And at first, I didn't quite get the whole throne bit until the end of his entrance. Once the coat was off and whatever else. I knew the throne was a dig at Triple H. I knew that. When Brandy gave Cody the sledgehammer, right? To which Cody booked it back up the ramp. Kind of gave it the Triple H look. And pounded on the throne, letting out a firework. That was awesome. And I loved the subtle dig, even if it wasn't so subtle. That was just amazing. Now, just to clarify, my daughter does have the initials H. And it's not because I'm a Triple H mark. I am a bit of a fan, but I'm not a hardcore mark. It's just coincidence that Triple H just happened to steal my daughter's initials. But the crowd pop to it was amazing. And I don't know if it was just because they were in it for the fact that was a dig, or if they are legit ready to move on from the monopoly that is WWE. But that's a different argument for a different day. I'm actually thinking of doing a video essay on it, but now I'm getting completely off topic. And it was nice to see Dustin Rhodes for a change. Not Goldust, but Dustin Rhodes. The natural Dustin Rhodes. And his pop was amazing too. So it wasn't just me that was excited to see him. The Dusty chants were classy. Before they even locked up. Dusty, Dusty, Dusty. You see Dustin pointing up. You see Cody kind of tearing up. And you can feel right off the bat, this had the big fight feel that everybody likes to talk about, but nobody seems to understand what it is. This was your big fight feel. Right from the go. Good ring psychology. It almost looked like Dustin had reinvented himself for this match. I mean, yeah, the suit and the face paint was all new, but I think he also took a little more time in training. He took a little more of a move set. Like, he introduced new things I have never seen Dustin Rhodes or Goldust or Manic or Seven ever do. So it was a nice refresher. Later on in the match, the turnbuckle got taken off, exposing the ring post. And for the fan who caught that ring buckle, consider yourself pretty fucking lucky to get a free turnbuckle at an AEW show. Because I remember when All In came out and it was done, and they sold the turnbuckles, those were not cheap. Those were not cheap at all. So you got what would be a couple $100 turnbuckle for free, thanks to Dustin Rhodes. Of course, that spot was done for a reason. Dustin was busted open. And he was busted open good. Real good. There was a point in the match where it reminded me of shades of Bret Hart, Steve Austin, Survivor Series. Where Austin was locked in the sharpshooter and his face was just pouring blood. That was the case here. And they actually did kind of pull off that move as well. But that was later in the match. Brandy giving Dustin the spear on the outside, that was ballsy for her, but fun to see. Of course, Earl Hebner, the guy reffing the match, he didn't want none of it, so Brandy got the toss, right? But at this point, again, Dustin is bleeding like a faucet. Like, I just turned on the water, that's Dustin, just bleeding. Ugh. I like the blood. In the match. It added for a good dynamic to it. Cody was dominating in the whole match, like I thought he would. But Dustin got in his offense, but because Dustin was leaking, there were points where I was wondering, does he know where he is? Does he know what he's doing? But he did make a fight out of it, even if he was just swinging at air. And sometimes he was missing, and sometimes he wasn't connecting anything. At one point, Cody took off his waist belt that said Attitude Killer on the back and wanted to use that as a weapon before Hebner took it away, only for Dustin to get it and start using it as a weapon for himself, even actually dropping Trow and giving him one on the ass. Go figure. I didn't think they were going to show the actual bare exposed ass, but crack and all. If you ever wanted a cheap thrill on Cody's ass, you got it. Not a lot of near falls. There was some near falls. There was reversals of crossroads, and they were reversing every move, the sit down, uppercut, and all that. They were just reversing everything they were doing. Lots of kickouts on the crossroads, though. Dustin kicked out of one. Cody kicked out of one. But again, lots of blood coming. And finally, Cody did manage to nail him with the crossroads. 1, 2, 3. Cody wins. Match was 22 minutes, 30 seconds. Trev's given this one 3.75 or 3 3/4, depending on what you want to call it. It's not that it was a bad match. It was far from a bad match. It was a great match. I loved it. And it's not that I'm afraid to give out 5 stars. I'm not. I just don't know if I would consider this one a 5-star classic just yet. After the match, Cody grabs the mic and tells Dustin, hey, you ain't retiring here. I'm not giving you that satisfaction. I've got you booked at Fight for the Fallen, which is their pay-per-view after Fyter Fest, against the Young Bucks. He tells Dustin, he's like, hey, this is me telling you I don't need a partner. I don't need a friend. I need my older brother to be my tag team partner. They hug. Hugs are getting over. And they leave the ring together. So it was a good feel-good moment to end that match. If you're still watching the pay-per-view at this point, and I hope you were, because I watched it start to finish, even the pre-show, I hope you're feeling the same excitement as I was. And that hadn't happened to me with a pay-per-view for a very, very long time. I think the last time I was really excited for a pay-per-view was probably when Brock beat Undertaker at WrestleMania. Excuse me. But we're not talking WWE right now. We're talking AEW, and we're now talking the AEW World Championship presentation. Well, I forget the name of the guy, but he's an English comedian. And when he introduced the guy who was going to present the belt, he hadn't even said best there is. He said best, and I started getting the bumps. Best there was, and my bumps were getting bumps. Best there ever will be. And I'm like, Bret fucking Hart. So I marked out for Bret Hart. I don't normally do that, but to see Bret Hart on an AEW program, considering how close he's gotten with Vince and with WWE, it was a refreshment to see. Didn't expect it. And again, my goosebumps had goosebumps. And the crowd was going, holy shit, holy shit. And I was going, holy shit, holy shit. It was like we were in unison. Like we were in the same mind. Interesting. Very interesting. Now, I'm not going to lay out the spoilers here for this World Championship. You can watch my video, which I'm filming after this one, on my reaction to the AEW World Championship. I hope you won't be disappointed. But according to Bret, he calls it absolutely beautiful. So then Bret calls out Adam Page and kind of tells him, hey, this is a huge honor for you before MJF comes out. And we have our first asshole chant of the night. And I'm wondering if this isn't setting up something for MJF and Adam Page after, his match with Jericho. After his match for the World Championship. But anyway, MJF is a great heel. He doesn't even have to try, and he's got heat. Doesn't even have to say boo, and he's getting booed. But anyway, they played that out. Jungle Boy comes out. MJF has some words for him. He's like, I don't want to wrestle a prepubescent teenager. I got things to do. Jimmy Havoc comes out, and Jimmy Havoc just looks like, ugh. Hurting you wouldn't be enough, I don't think. He'd want to take pleasure in hurting you. And I'm glad they got a guy like Jimmy Havoc on the card, or on their roster. Anyway, they chase each other out. Paige follows, and then Brett presents the belt. Again, check out my reaction video after this one. I'm filming it right after I'm done this whole reaction to the pay-per-view, so look out for that. Match number 8, or second last match on the card, depending on how you want to look at it, is for the AAA World Tag Team Championships. You got the champs, the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, taking on the Lucha Brothers, Pentagon and Phoenix. Super Kick Party! I loved the Bucks' Elvis-inspired getup. It was awesome. I mean, they didn't have to say it was Elvis-inspired. You just knew it was Elvis-inspired. It was great. I loved it. But the Lucha Bros came out to there. They were introduced first, obviously, because they're the challengers, and they got huge pops. So the Lucha Brothers are over before they even step in the ring. Zero Mineos. I thought the match would be quick when Pentagon went for the early Pentadriver, but I was wrong. Was I ever wrong? Lots of missed spots in the early beginnings, meaning, they're both going with clothesline, both missing, both going for super kicks, they both miss. Lots of missed spots, which made it very exciting. It's like if they're hitting all this stuff and they know what they're doing early, we're in for a great match. But a lot of emphasis on the two-man work here, and I think that's ultimately by their design. They really want to make tag team wrestling great again. Someone has to, because the Orange Man won't do it. But I'm glad to see tag team wrestling is an emphasis in the product they're building. Because, I mean, really, tag team wrestling is amazing. With the right teams, and the right match, it's amazing. Phoenix was taken out of the match early. So it was a lot of Young Bucks versus Pentagon. But Pentagon did manage to come back, thanks to some of the Young Bucks' miscues. And then Phoenix came back into the match and took right over on Matt and Nick Jackson, so it became Phoenix versus the Young Bucks. Lots of near falls. There was a flipping stunner in there, which I thought was cool. I mean, I love how everybody's kind of throwing a spin on the stunner. Like, the stunner is just a basic move, and everybody's putting a spin or a twist or something on it. So it was good to see. Matt had a neat little sequence of locomotive suplexes before going into a sharpshooter on Pentagon. And from there, it was more high spot after more high spot after more high spot. You should expect this. It's a Young Bucks match. You're going to get spots. They're not spot monkeys, but they know what works, and spots work. You got a top rope sunset flip by the Bucks, which got turned into stereo sharpshooters, which was awesome, especially with Bret Hart in the house. Of course he's going to appreciate a good sharpshooter, right? Did I mention I cringed to buckle bombs? Now add an enziguri to that. More near falls, followed by stereo super kicks by all four men. So now all four of them are down, thanks to the super kick party. Super kick party! That was gay, Trev. Don't do that again. More action after they get back up, though. More high spots, elevated leaps, and some ring apron attention. Nobody was really doing a lot of ring apron spots up until now. Pentadriver by Pentagon, senton by Phoenix, Nick kicked out after 2. Flip the page. More super kicks. And a top rope brainbuster, which actually had me going, holy shit. Which had the crowd going, holy shit. I ain't never seen one of those, let alone so good. Oh. Pentagon kicked out of the bang for your bucks. And hola. How much more do these guys have left? They've been going for quite some time now. You go into more further in the match. You get an arm snap by Pentagon, which Matt sold to perfection. Like, I thought his arm was done. Another near fall. And I'm near spent watching this match. And there's still one more match to go. And I'm almost spent. So Phoenix keeps working the arm. And this should be where the Lucha Brothers win. Matt reverses. And gets Phoenix in position for the Meltzer driver with one arm. One arm. Nick comes back in. Meltzer driver. 1, 2, 3. Young Bucks retain. That match went near 25 minutes. 5 seconds short of 25 minutes. Trev's 2 for 8 in his predictions. But Trev's given this one a 4.5. Amazing, amazing match. I was not disappointed. I hope none of you guys were either, because, again, tag team wrestling at its finest. Main event time. Alpha Omega 2. And I really hope at this point, because like I said, I'm 2 for 8 on my predictions, I hope I at least get this one right. That way I can save some kind of face, some kind of credibility as far as predictions go. Because like I said, this year, me predicting shit has been a bad year. Oh, I'm almost embarrassed. Anyway, Jericho's entrance, and we see almost like flashbacks of how his career has morphed from Lionheart Chris Jericho to the List of Jericho to the Blinking Coat Jericho, and then you actually get the Judas Jericho. And we see the Painmaker, the Alpha, the Goat, the Y2J, the best in the world at what he does, Chris Jericho. If I left out any other nicknames, feel free to add them in. But yeah, it was a nice nod as to how Jericho has evolved his career. And I mean, my earliest memory of Jericho is from WCW when he was Lionheart Chris Jericho. And then Lion Tamer was the finisher. So I've been marking out hard for Jericho for some time. I haven't been marking out as hard for Omega as long as I have for Jericho. I think I've only been marking out for Omega since 2016, 2015 earliest. Did I ever mention how much I love Justin Roberts as a ring announcer? Kenny's coming to the ring. Kenny Omega! Oh, Justin Roberts is a nice breath of fresh air. This was psychological storytelling at its finest. I love the chemistry these two have, and if this is number 2 out of a trilogy or more, I hope it's the same. I hope they can do better or the same than what they've already done for the first 2. Early V-trigger misses. Give Jericho the advantage, and their early attempt at the walls, just pulling out all the good moves early. So, off the hop, I wanted to think, okay, this is going to be a quick match. Maybe they're running out of time. Nope. But heel Jericho is amazing. He just panders to the crowd so well. He just goes for the heat as a heel. And he doesn't have to do it hard. Like, there's not a lot of effort required in him to get the heat. He just has to ask for it, and he's got it. But despite that, being a ref who was supposed to give a 10 count for the wrestlers on the outside, Jericho and Omega were outside for at least 2 minutes or more, just duking it out and just fighting and whatever else. So 10 count, my ass. Not a lot of near falls in the early going, which is okay. Let them go, But the match became a chop fest. Chop, 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 chop. Jericho was glowing red. Glowing. Now we're getting to the near falls. And now Kenny's busted open, bleeding from the nose. So, 2 matches on the card have blood. Amazing. I love it. Omega gains some offense and takes Jericho back out of the ring. Jericho goes for a table and gets an overtop flip into the table. Omega flips over to the top while Jericho's holding the table up, goes into Jericho for his troubles. Table actually becomes more of a part of this match than anything else, because then Omega gets back in the ring, goes for a flip over, and stomps on the table while Jericho's under it. That table. I hope that table got paid good. Oh, just table. But there's classic Omega offense at this point, including a V-trigger to the back of Jericho's head. If you've never taken a V-trigger, I know I haven't, but I know I don't want to. I've taken a lot of wrestling moves in my day, but I've never taken a V-trigger. I don't want to take a V-trigger. They look painful, even if it is choreographed. More near falls. He actually had a one-winged angel attempt that Jericho countered. It started with lion salt. Kind of countered him into the lion salt, but that didn't last long. More near falls. Jericho tried a code breaker, which got reversed to another V-trigger. Omega tried to continue the offense into a tiger driver that Jericho countered by sending Omega over the ropes onto that table that didn't break. I forgot to mention it didn't break, but Omega broke it after he landed over the top rope onto it. Omega is really selling that he's getting exhausted, and so is Jericho. And I mean, with Jericho, it's believable. The guy's 48. Of course, he's going to get exhausted quick, but Omega's selling it better. So that's interesting. Omega gets up, and Jericho kind of gives him a springboarded drop kick that looked like it folded Omega in 3 different ways. Like, it was of course he landed on the apron, but the way he landed and fell to the floor, I thought he was laundry at that point. Next page. Some more top rope action with Omega blocking a superplex which pushed Jericho down. Kenny went for something. I almost want to say it was like a frog splash. I don't think it was a frog splash, but he went for something off the top rope and landed into a code breaker. Jericho got up, did some taunting, ended up getting a couple Snapdragon suplexes for it, and a V-trigger. Lots of V-triggers. Jericho counters, but gets planted by an underarm suplex. Omega missed another V-trigger, and that got countered into the walls. Jericho had him in the hold for well over a minute. And Omega did try going for the ropes, but Jericho brought him back and continued to hold on, give him the hold, throw more torque on there, sinking it in lower, get the maximum effect. But Kenny managed to kick out and managed another V-trigger. Classic Omega. Omega went for another one-winged angel before Jericho countered that with a very ugly DDT. I don't know if that was a botch or if it was just meant to be a very ugly DDT, but it was ugly. Omega got back up and tried it again and got another DDT that landed into a code breaker. More code breakers. Some more mulling around. Omega's up. Jericho lands the Judas effect. And it's a 1. It's a 2. It's a 3. And Jericho's your winner. And Jericho has a date with Adam Page for the AEW World Championship. That match went 27 minutes. Almost a half an hour. And Trev's giving it a 4.5 out of 5. After the match, Trev started throwing up the hashtags. Thank you, Jericho, because he deserves it. He's earned it, has he not? Jericho's given the mic, and he tells the marks that AEW is Jericho. He single-handedly sold 12,000 tickets in 4 minutes, and he wants his thank you from Kenny Omega. Instead, pausing for dramatic effect. Instead, he gets John Moxley. Moxley comes in, gives Jericho the dirty deeds, or whatever they're going to call it, because I don't think he can call it dirty deeds. After that, he gives the referee the dirty deeds. After that, kicks the ref out of the ring, kind of kneels down, says hi to Jericho. And as defenseless as Omega is, to Jericho, he said hi to Omega. And as defenseless as Omega is, he manages to fight Moxley into the crowd. And kudos on him for the determination. Like, bleeding out the nose, it could be broken, taking so many sick bumps and sick spots, and he's still taking Moxley to the crowd. And they fight it to the stage, where Moxley manages to give dirty deeds to Omega. Finally. On the stage prop where there's a bunch of gambling chips, gave him dirty deeds on that. But that wasn't enough. Managed to pick Omega back up, throw him over his shoulders, toss him onto the floor. Omega was down, and that was Double or Nothing. So you want my overall thoughts on Double or Nothing? Of course you do. That's why you're here. I'll give you my overall thoughts. One of, if not the best, pay-per-views I'll watch this year, and probably one of the best ones I've watched in the last 5 years. At least. Easily. Like, top to bottom, it was an amazing card, pre-show down to main event. It was awesome. There was no holding back. They went all out for the gusto. You know, everything they could give, they gave. And if you were watching it like I was, and you were just as hooked, you would probably agree. But you don't need me to tell you that. Again, if you can find it on a replay somewhere, watch it. If you haven't seen it, watch it. If you're looking for that alternative to that product that is WWE, watch this. You don't need me to tell you anymore. Now, if I have to give this a number out of the not Dave Meltzer scale, I'm giving this whole pay-per-view a 4. I want to give it a 5, but I'm going to give it a 4. There was a few areas that, yeah, they could have did a lot better, but they didn't screw anything up. Nothing got botched. The ring ropes didn't break after some guy named Cheeks took the rope run, sorry. So you didn't have to worry about anything going wrong, and I don't think anything did. And the fact that it had pyro too was amazing. That was a great thing. So that's what I thought of it. So that was episode 10 of Trev's Wrestling Show here on Trev TV. I really hope you like this video. I really do. I had a lot of fun making it. I had a lot of fun watching the show. But it was a great experience all the way around. But unfortunately for Trev, he's not done making videos tonight. He's got one more to make. But let's close this one out, shall we? If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, give it a thumbs up. You know where that subscribe button is. You know what to do. If you want to stay up to date with all the content I put out, hit that button. You won't regret it. If you really want, you can find Trev TV on Facebook. And if you want to take it one step further, you can find Trev TV on Instagram. So like I just said, I got one more video to do tonight. And as much as I really didn't want this weekend to be all about wrestling videos, and I probably won't, I'll probably make one or two more tomorrow. Well, today, because it is technically Sunday now. I still have one more video to make tonight. So, having said all that, in the meantime, and in between time, be on the lookout for more videos from the Trev. Later.